Joy Matara sir, Joy Bhairav Baba, Joy Ma Kamakha. Thank you for making the time and welcome to your show.
It's Lord Bhairava's show. Jai Matara, Jai Bhairava, Jai Ma Kamakhya. It's wonderful to come back again to address a few questions and discuss certain spiritual topics. And wishing everybody a fantastic Navratri Upasana that's going on. So let's start.
Sir, just before you came in, we fixed up a few topics because
Right.
every day you do not have the time.
Mm.
So I thought quickly if we can just shoot a few episodes
Right.
on different deities and maybe we can release them over the month
Sure.
from your YouTube channel, Rajarshi Nandy
Yes.
Kamakya Bhairava Upasaka Foundation.
Yes.
Um, so with that, sir, maybe start talking about Kal Bhairav.
Yeah.
Kal Bhairav is one deity. When I went in there,
Mm.
the first thing was a shock. It felt as if I've known him, but I've known him through you, sir, as has many of our friends. So, sir, what is Bhairav? Who is Bhairav?
So it's good that we're starting with Kal Bhairava, because it's been on my mind for some time that we should have a more dedicated episode or conversation on Kala Bhairava. We have spoken on generic form of Bhairava, we have spoken on Padukas of Bhairava, but Kala Bhairava has always been sort of not too deep. We haven't gone that deep into his discussions on Bhairava. So first and foremost, the word Bhairava comes with a root word that means that also has the same root word as the Sanskrit word Bhiru, which means there's an element of it's a terrifying power. It is a form of Shiva, but in a much more terrifying, much more aggressive and fearsome, at least external demeanor. He uses that. It's important to understand the external, because my experience with Bhairava and that of many other people, as you keep going deeper into his sadhana, you'll see that he is one of the most compassionate of all forms.
Yes.
Because he is a god of justice. He is never unfair. He's never unfair. He's always just and he's always compassionate. And that is his peculiar compassion, by being completely fair to everybody. And his expectation of the Upasaka, that he is fair to himself and is fair to the world. And that brings about a certain tremendous energy and a blessing of Bhairava. So first and foremost, he is a form of a deity, he is a form of Shiva, who comes with a terrifying face, a terrifying, at least the external demeanor is terrifying. He's also been recorded as a deity who dissolves karmas of the Upasaka. So why is the karma dissolved? So that you can easily go towards liberation and moksha. And there are Sanskrit scholars who have come from from the Kashmir, who have defined Bhairava as a deity who also controls creation, sustenance, and destruction. All the three functions that we record as the domains of Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. Bhairava alone, in the form of Parabhairava, does all these three things.
So is that the reason, sir? Would it be fair to say that when we visit Kal Bhairav temple in Kashi, we're talking about Kashi, we just go there and we're all in awe. I mean, that happens in most temples, but why do we get so baffled, speechless? I don't even know what to say exactly at this point in time. Kya hai Kal Bhairav Baba mein? That, we just...
There is
this the Bhairav Tattva? That, you go see him and you forget everything. What is Bhairav Tattva, sir?
the way I see it, one of the first things that Lord Kalbhairava does to an Upasaka is that you stop you overcome fear of situations. So there is in life, whenever you're born, first thing is that for any individual, one of the first eternal truths is that because you're born, so you'll die someday. In between, you'll have disease, you'll have some problems, this, that, etc. The first thing that Bhairava instills in an Upasaka is that sense of fearlessness. So it is not that the problems are going to go away, but you will have that courage and the strength to go through anything, being as unfazed as possible. That is the first true foundation on which sadhana happens. If every smallest incident causes some kind of disturbance in your chitta, disturbance in your stability, your mental equipoise, the center of your being raffles by anything, because someday or the other, something or the other is going to happen.
Sir.
His first rule is that he's like a Shivalinga. Like a Shivalinga never moves from its place. That is the beauty, that steadiness, that tattva of steadiness, that kuch bhi ho jaye, whatever it is, it's fine. We'll pass through it. That strength, inner strength, is his gift. Kal Bhairava temple in Kashi is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I can't even say how beautiful it is.
Yes, sir.
The energy, specifically during the time when the Arati happens. It sounds very chaotic. It looks chaotic. But if you were to sit down there, if you had the opportunity to sit down during the time when the arati happens, and if you were to do a sadhana there, for example, I had the good fortune of doing once. I was sitting there, and I right next to the temple, I could complete a 1 lakh mantra of Kalbhairava there, and it was the most blissful experience I had. You will see that, you will sense. It's not just him, it's not just Bhairava who's there. All his ganas are there, and not just the main Vigraha which is there inside the the
Garbhagriha.
Garbhagriha. But as you do Pradakshina, right behind it, there's a specific spot on the wall. One day I was just doing Pradakshina, I did a pranam there, and I felt a surge of energy coming out. It's as if he radiates power from there, and he calls all the beings, all the ganas of Bhairava everywhere. They come, they visit, they sit there, they're present in the subtle body. So when you are doing sadhana there, some blessings from them also comes to the Upasaka. It's a wonderful temple. There is a mildness in him also. That's the beauty of it. At one side, he's extremely fierce. There is perhaps very few deities as fierce as Kalbhairava. At the other side, he's also extremely compassionate. I mean, I have I remember among the many things in last Shivaratri, not Shivaratri, sorry, it was Kalbhairav last year, Bhairavashtami.
Bhairavashtam.
It was super crowded. The temple was super crowded. And I had just entered somehow. I mean, I couldn't even move one step because there were so many people there.
I know this.
And yeah, and I thought that today, though, I don't think I'll be able to have darshan because I can't even move one step forward. And there was so much crowds there. And I'm just thinking, and mentally I just prayed to Bhairava, Kalbhairava, and I said, ki, aaj ho nahi payega. I've put in my best effort, but I don't think I can see you. I can get your darshan today. And I was about to go out. Suddenly this guy, and I don't even know who he was, he just sees me and says, "Arey, aap aaye hue." So I think he was connected to the temple somehow. So he just pulled me through the crowd somewhere or the other, wriggled me out of that crowd and put me right inside into the Garbhagriha. And I had the good fortune to sit in the Garbhagriha and do japa.
In fact, sir, I'll add to that. Later, you had sent all of us, like in our group, a photo. That day only, you had
Yes.
got a chaddar, like
Yeah.
the
This is
Mahadev,
yeah.
that little
They had
print.
given one. There's a
Yeah.
wrapping.
Wrapping, they had given it to
Yes,
you.
from Bhairava. But it was blissful. I could sit there and that night, and when I was doing japa right to the Vigraha, the mind goes to a plane it cannot be explained. He is absolute and absolute. He is both the guardian. He is both the guardian of Shakti. Whole world is Shakti. So he is a guardian of the whole world. And he's also the guardian of the path. He's also the guru of the path because he knows what the path is. Nobody else knows. And he is the one who takes you into the state of Kashi, which is liberation. Kashi comes from the root word meaning light. An inner light comes in. It is not just the physical space of Kashi. You can reach Kashi sitting at your home also if you're that capable. But it is only by his permission. He is the one who will test you whether you are fit to reach there or you're not fit to reach there. He is a deity of absolute liberation.
Is that why they say that, Kalbhairav Baba is the Kotwal of Kashi? He guards it, and without his permission, nobody can really enter Kashi. Is there sir, once you had told us rather, that whenever you go to Kashi, first go visit Kalbhairav Baba, take his darshan, take his permission, and then do whatever you want to do.
Correct. That's the way I like visiting Kashi.
Okay.
And that's how I advise people. That first thing you do is that you visit Kashi, you visit Kalabhairava. Once you visit Kalabhairava, you take his permission, you take his blessings. Then you do whatever else you have to do, etc. And the last deity to visit should be Kashi Vishwanath.
Acha.
Vishwanath is the king. Lord Vishwanath is the king. So after that, you don't visit anything. After that, you should be. If it is a very ideal kind of, it's an Upasaka's visit. You start with Bhairava and then you end with Vishwanath. After Vishwanath, you should be in a state of bliss. Then there's nothing left. आपका काशी यात्रा संपूर्ण हो गया. Once you reach Vishwanath, end, finish, nothing more. But how will you reach Vishwanath? He is very subtle. It is Bhairava who teaches you how to reach Vishwanath. It is him only. It is Vishwanath only who becomes Bhairava and settles down and teaches the path. It's his peculiar kindness that from his exalted domain he comes down here and he teaches people how one should go ahead and do the sadhana and reach him.
So you're one of those rare sadhaks. I would say, Bhairav Baba, has come into our lives because of you and nobody else. We've read this story, we've heard this story from you about, Bhairav Baba cutting off Brahmaji's fifth head with his, small finger.
Right.
How is the story significant in 2025? Is there a learning that we can all take from this story?
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, from the Puranas. This is one of the most prominent stories of the emergence of Kalabhairava, who comes out of the third eye of Shiva, and and he cuts off Brahma's fifth head because Brahma was caught lying. So there was this. The story goes that Vishnu, and there was a pillar of light, column of light, and Vishnu and Brahma, they were arguing who's like, where does it start, where does it end, like this. Oh no, it starts with them arguing between themselves that who is greater among them, Vishnu and Brahma. And then there's a manifestation of a column of light, and that light, in that column of light, there is. They decide that let's see where does it end and where does it start. So one of them goes down and one of them keeps searching upwards to see where the column of light actually starts. What happens with Brahma is that he sees a flower falling. That flower is called Ketaki, and asks the flower that where does it start. Flower says that I don't know where it starts. And Brahma thinks after some time that, see, this is not going to end. I can just come back and say that I've seen the end. Okay. Finally, they both reach together. Vishnu says that no, I haven't found where it ends, because it's the pillar of light is Ananta, infinite. There is no beginning, there is no end. So he can't find the end. Brahma can't find the end, but he lies that no, I've seen the end. Okay. And he uses that flower as if to give a false evidence that, that flower is going to tell me he has seen that I have seen the end, something like that.
Okay.
This was a terrible crime, because the first rule of Dharma is Satya. Where there is no Satya, there is no Dharma. Okay. Dharma, spirituality, everything stands on the first foundation of absolute truth, because truth means reality.
So Satya is Dharma?
Dharma's first important foundation is Satya. And Satya is not just verbal Satya. Satya means that which is. जो है वो सत्य है, ना उसके आगे कुछ, ना पीछे कुछ, nothing to be added, nothing to be subtracted. That which is the reality. To be able to accept reality is the first step in Adhyatma. And this is where Brahma does a terrible crime. And because of this crime, Shiva's anger manifests in the form of Kalabhairava, and he cuts off Brahma's head, and he says that you cannot be, your worship is not going to happen anymore. There are some other versions of the story we find in the Puranas where Brahma is getting attached to one of his creations, and his popping up a head to keep an eye on the creation, and then Shiva gets angry and removes. Bottom line of this story is that this is a very, very significant story. Two things we realize. Bhairava comes out in a state of the Shiva manifests the form of Bhairava when there is a state of agitation. Okay, there's a state of agitation, a conflict, a stressful situation, something. In Bhairav sadhana, we use the number 8 very often. Okay, because Bhairav Ashtami is there. In Jyotisha, 8 is considered as the number of the house that is unknown. Till the 7th house, you can see the visible world.
Oh.
That which is within your vision. You can recognize
I thought
that.
8 is like that eternity.
Yes, it is eternity. And it is also that space which is your blind spot, that which you cannot see.
Okay.
So there's a chaos involved in it. In that chaos comes out Bhairava. Okay. And what he does is that which is attached to falsehood, that which is untrue, where there is some ego involved, some false ego, okay, where Brahma is thinking that I have done it, I am the greatest, etc. He cuts off Brahma's head. He removes that ego. He says that, and this ego, what we call ego, is actually also attached to, in some senses, our lives. For example, I'd like to bring in another story of the Puranas. We know that the manifestation of Rudra comes out with that specific story of the Daksha Yagya, where Daksha is performing a Yagya. And it is a Vedic Yagya where there is Vishnu, there's rishis like Vrigu, and everything is being done, and yet Shiva is not invited. And then the Yagya is completely destroyed. The essence of this story has some link to this story also of the Kalabhairava destroying Brahma's head. In both cases, what happens is Daksha, the word means adept, one who is very proficient in performing the ritual. Okay. So he is very sure that I have already fixed everything. सब कुछ आता है मेरे को, कुछ जानने का जरूरत नहीं है. I know the text, I know the scriptures, I have the rishis, I have A to Z. सब ज्ञान है मेरा. और कुछ बाकी नहीं है. Everything is set. It's all in my fingertips. I can manipulate it. What I will do, I'll get the results, etc. That is when nature puts in this number 8, that extra thing, that which you cannot see, your blind spot, something that comes out of the blue and destroys everything. Because whatever you know, there is always going to be something that you don't know. There's always going to be something that is beyond your knowledge. So it's good to be humble. It's good to acknowledge that the divine is more competent than you are, and you ever will be. The same story comes here. Brahma thought that he fixed everything. I am the creator of the Vedas. I have 4 heads. I know A to Z. I can teach you what the rituals are. So what does it matter if I say I am the best? I am almost the best in my view. And then suddenly comes Bhairava and says, no, there's somebody who destroys his head even with the small finger, nail of his little finger. And that is a terrific manifestation that once that happens, that head gets cut off, then Brahma realizes that there is more to reality than what he assumed in his mental space. We all construct ideas in our head, who we are, what we are, okay, what is our reality, where we are going, what is it that defines us. And beyond that definition also there is a reality, and that is the beginning of true Adhyatma. And that is where Bhairava takes a person. By first giving you the slight amount of jolt. But it's not a bad jolt, because at the end of the day, you realize that somebody who's meant to reach to the highest stages have to transcend the material aspects of the universe. And that will only happen. The ego does not let go of the material. It lets go of the material only when it gets a shock. This is one of the oldest realities of life. Even in the Gita, we see the first chapter starts with Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Arjuna is confused in the middle of the battlefield. Till now, he is fixed. This is a battle, this is a war, this is the enemy, I have to do XYZ, etc. Right in the middle, suddenly he's seeing that, okay, the people out there are my relatives. What am I doing? Is it really worth it? You are completely confused. It is that state when your normal material rational mind has given up and can't find a solution. That is when there is an injection of power from outside. That is when one is able to go beyond.
It is very difficult, sir, to follow exactly, because sometimes in today's day and age, if you're too humble, you will have people walking over you.
Yeah.
So upholding this humility all the time is not possible.
No, it's truth. Humility is not the word. It's better to be egoistic than to have a false humility. False humility is a projection of ego. So you cannot just wish away the ego. Ego makes what you are. But the idea is progressively to be as real as possible. The one thing that I have told people always is that the biggest problem in spirituality I see is not anything else, but rather delusion of oneself, self-delusion. Self-delusion is the biggest problem. And that is the one thing that Bhairava stops.
Sorry.
That is the one thing that Bhairava will stop.
Like
yeah. Self-delusion is the biggest problem. And that exactly is where the first step has to be. To give a simple example, say the Upanishads have such beautiful statements. The Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, etc. Wonderful. The Mahavakyas of Upanishad. But am I really seeing I am Brahman? No,
I'm just doing the karmas of a Brahmin.
No, it's not about the karmas of the Brahmin. It is Brahman as the greatest reality of the universe. Everything becomes one. Am I able to see that? If I'm not able to see that, but I still repeat that sentence and keep, touting that sentence everywhere, as many pseudo Vedantins keep doing, you are effectively lying to yourself, because that is not your reality. That may be the reality of some saint.
Yes.
They have achieved it. You haven't. So it's good to say, rather phrase it this way. Be careful in the words. The reality of the spoken word, the reality of the lived life has to match together. For example, while saying this, so this is a wonderful statement that comes from the Upanishads, which the rishis have realized and which we should realize at some point, though I have not realized it yet. That is a correct representation of that statement. For an Upasaka. But coming another point before I forget, the Brahma's cutting of the Brahma's head has another significance. The Bhairava Upasaka eventually realizes that, so after cutting off the head, Bhairava holds that skull in his hand. He also removes the prison of the rational thoughts. So rational mind thinks that it has figured out everything. Okay. So the rational mind is very powerful tool that nature has given us, but it has its limitations after a point. So what Bhairava does is that he removes the rational mind eventually, and the Upasaka realizes that it is his own head that Bhairava is gripping. And once he does that, he grips the head of the Upasaka, he removes the rational thought flow. Rational thought flow is like a machine. It keeps grinding and grinding and grinding, putting logic, etc. Suddenly it stops. And then there is an intuitive light that will come in. Once you are out of the cycle of the mundane existence, your thought process, then only something new can enter into your system. That is also a meaning, an individual meaning that an Upasaka will experience who's doing Bhairav sadhana. The rational mind will come to a stop, the intuitive mind will start.
Sir, what is the easiest way to reach Bhairav Baba? Are there any upayas? Is there something that we can do? People who do not have a lot of time,
So,
can they do some upasana, something?
yeah, to reach Kala Bhairava, there is, of course, the mantra shastra of mantra sadhanas of Bhairava, Kala Bhairava, but that may require some kind of guidance, a bit of a,
For mantras.
mantras. I haven't yet, I haven't never spoken of a Kal Bhairav mantra openly. Maybe if that kind of an intuition comes or that kind of a guidance comes to me, then I'll make a video. At this time, I haven't. But that doesn't mean that you cannot experience some benefit of the from Kala Bhairava sadhana. One of the best things to do is to read the Kala Bhairava Ashtakam at least 8 times every day, and with some agarbatti diya like that, you put some naivedyam, sweets and everything. You do the Kalbhairava Ashtakam, and after that you meditate for about 20 minutes. Meditation is a very key and important tool that is necessary for Bhairava sadhana and other deity sadhanas also. But for Bhairava, it's very, very crucial. You should learn to meditate on him, not even chant a mantra. So you chant the Ashtakam 8 times, keep quiet, just put an alarm in your clock for 20 minutes, sit still. Don't move at all 20 minutes. Close your eyes. Let any thoughts flow. Doesn't matter. But try, repeat this day after day, and you will see that your thoughts are going to get more concentrated on Bhairava. And that is when you will realize that how does he manifest inside you? It's not just outside. So he is also, there is a famous dictum that comes from the, I think the Shiva Sutras again in Kashmir, where they have this phrase called Udyamo Bhairava, which means that the upsurge is Bhairava. What they mean is that there is a certain ordinary consciousness, anybody has, you, me, everybody, and we are going about life in that. In between, there could be a certain flash of creativity that comes in. Okay, suppose you're writing a poem, okay, and there are lines you're writing, and suddenly there is a peculiar energy that comes in, and you feel that this phrase comes in, and it's as if something like, the artist calls it the muse, that strange energy which is not really rational, where artist is only a medium of transmission of that power. That power is Bhairava. That upsurge, that sudden brightness inside, that just breaks down the material world like a light. It shoots up, okay, and it completely changes your mood, it changes your feeling. It's like, also there's this word that's used in, I think in the biblical literature, they call it the epiphany. There's a sudden flash of download into your head, of about a thing, and you know that this is the right thing, and it is not rational. They cannot tell you, ask you कि ये कहाँ से आया, इसका logic, कोई logic नहीं है, but you know that this is what it is, and eventually it will be proved that it is what it is. That is Bhairava.
So 8 times Kalbhairav Ashtakam part. After that, alarm laga ke 20 minutes meditation.
Meditate and continue this day after day.
And sir, we had also done this with you long back,
Yeah.
to focus on Ma Tara's feet, Shri Padukam. So for Kalbhairav Baba,
So for Kal Bhairava, good that you brought up this, because uh, in my own puja space, among the various religious objects that I have, one of the most powerful things I feel I received once was the Padukas of Kalabhairava from the. It's a very rare thing, and it's not given easily, and it has its own dynamics of how to do puja of Bhairava.
and you got that
Paduka.
from
The Kashi Kalbhairava
Kalbhairav temple.
They had given me the Padukas.
Okay.
So Padukas, seva of the so for most people though, I would recommend to just have a photo of Kala Bhairava of Kashi. Okay, have a photo, and you can do your sadhana in front of that. Later on, if your sadhana increases a bit more, goes slightly deeper, then you can keep a Trishula. Trishula could be, about say anywhere between 8 to 10 inches. Trishula, yes, either made of silver or mixed metals, etc. And keep the Trishula. Consider the Trishula to be Bhairava. Worship the Trishula itself. Do Abhishekam of the Trishula. Put some flowers in front of the Trishula. Okay. Put a naivedyam. Put some dhoop, diya, whatever. Simple things. Nothing complicated. Do the Ashtakam in front of the Trishula. Slowly the Trishula is going to gather power. And what material it's made of will also have its own pros and cons in how it interacts with the Upasaka.
So normally we see brass
Brass is fine.
Trishuls.
Brass is fine. One of the best things is if you can get it. So let's not be very categorical that you have to have this type of Trishula,
Right, right.
because there's a financial component involved in it.
Yes, sir.
But if it's possible for somebody to have a silver Trishula, silver is a particular object, a particular metal. When you have a Trishula of silver, it is going to interact and expand your mental capacity very quickly.
Okay.
Trishula silver has this characteristics when done in sadhana. At the same time, suppose you are at a place where, and this is not for ordinary grihasthas, many yogis sometimes what they do is, suppose they have a land or somewhere they want to create an ashram or something. One of the first things they'll do is they'll plant the Trishula there, a tall Trishula of Bhairava, because that protects that space.
Oh.
And that can be of iron also, because that creates an energy that removes any kind of negatives or any negative energy outside of that space.
So is that the reason last year in July you got a beautiful, huge Trishul done for Kalbhairav Baba and a Khappar and a crown and maybe other things. But the Trishul is still there and the Khappar as well. We keep seeing photographs and we're like, oh, and the crown. Yesterday, Baba was wearing the crown that, you had designed and got it done for him. So is there a particular significance now that we're talking about Trishul and worshipping the Trishul as Kalbhairav Baba? Is there any particular reason that you organize these gifts for Baba at Kashi?
Primarily it came as last year we had and collectively me and the people, a group of people whom I guide, we
That is
collectively
Kamakya Bhairava
Upasaka Foundation,
KBUF.
yes, KBUF. So we collected funds and we got a Trishula for Baba and a Mukut and a Khappar. But the idea was, it suddenly came to me that this is an offering to Baba, to Kalbhairava, in order that there is, for the greater purpose of Dharma raksha, for protection of Dharma. Because we will pass through difficult times, not just this year, in the coming years. And it is required, I feel that it is not a coincidence that there is a sudden upsurge of Bhairava Upasana across India.
Yes.
This is like a preparation for things that are going to come. And eventually it will sort things out into a greater good for Dharma. That is going to happen. But before that, the cleansing is also required. And that is where a deity of the caliber, power, and the proficiency and depth of Bhairava reawakens across the land. So main idea of that offering was, as a very humble gesture to the Lord, who kind of brought all these things together, somehow gathered so many people together, and with a sankalpa that may he protect Sanatana Dharma from whatever it needs protection from.
Sir, I have been doing a lot of Bhairav sadhana. A lot of people think that Bhairav sadhana could be a little scary if done at home. I mean, nothing scary has happened to me. I've never even had a nightmare.
No, I think there's a lot of misconception and fear associated with Bhairava.
I mean, in fact, before I started Bhairav sadhana, I've had a few terrible nightmares. But uske baad, I've been sleeping very happily last so many years.
No, this is I think this comes from a lot of many centuries of baggage where Bhairava was considered as a inferior deity or something like that. Historically, if you go into the progression of Bhairav sadhana from perhaps the 12th or 13th century, Bhairava was relegated to a secondary spot in terms of a deity. The Grama Devata, Kshetrapala, the deity who stands outside. It's still the 10th century. We have great texts from Kashmir and other places where there is the Advaita stream of Shaivism. Where there's Advaita is that oneness is the essence of that stream of Shaivism, where Bhairava is the Pradhana Devata, he's the primary deity, he's the Para Devata, he is everything. All deities are born from his consciousness. There is nothing in the universe that is not Bhairava. That Bhairava Upasana, and during that time there was a flourish of literature, arts, and this and that, due to the creative power that Bhairava holds within himself. There are so many forms of Bhairava. Eventually, because of various historical reasons and the progression of time, that culture went away, sort of. It reduced in its potency, and then Bhairava became relegated to more like the Kshetrapala. But when I look at many Shiva upasanas across India in different places, say in Bengal, for example, when the Shibir Gajon and the other festivals happen, if you see the nature of the devotion to Shiva, where there is a, you torture yourself,
Yes, they
there's a
put.
penance, yes,
Yes, yes.
that's that strong element of penance. Okay,
They
that
pull things with their,
self-inflicted torture as a way of pleasing the deity. These
Okay.
are very, very much aligned to Bhairava Tattva.
Okay.
Shiva, see, the beauty of the rishis is so beautiful. There's only one form, one deity. Sometimes it's Shiva, sometimes it's Bhairava. As Shiva, he is very subtle. He's not of this plane. He's not so bothered about this plane also. He is sort of transcendental, beyond. He's very sukshma. Okay. In order to get something, put him into a more active mode so that we ordinary people gain something out of it. So we made the Shiva Parivar. Shiva, there is Parvati, then the two children, Ganpati, Skanda, etc. And even that was not enough. We have Shiva coming down as Bhairava right down to this plane, earth plane. And because this plane is filled with ignorance, so therefore it takes a terrifying appearance. Because it is only in that appearance that you are able to cleanse the filth out of this plane, so that there is a upsurge of spirituality. Okay.
Um, would you have any special experience of Kalbhairav Baba of Kashi that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I before going to that,
Okay.
so that the Padukas of Bhairava that I was just discussing. So I have the Padukas of Bhairava, and uh, some special pujas were done on it. It's extremely beautiful, extremely beautiful. I mean, Padukas, eventually you realize, and one day I was thinking that as I was doing, I do start my day with the seva of the Padukas, and then there are different deities I worship. The Trishul of Bhairava is a symbol of protection. When you
Okay.
worship the Trishula, with the help of the Trishula, he controls the whole world. That's a ayudha, an astra, that gives you protection, that gives protection to everybody. Okay. Then there are so many aspects. The Mundamala is there, the cremation ground aspects are there, everything is there. But eventually you realize that the best thing about Bhairava is to do seva to his Padukas. Padukas are the feet, at the feet, something he wears. Just to be able to do seva of the Padukas of the deity is so much more blissful. The sense of surrenderance develops so powerfully through that process that you feel that that's all that is required, nothing more. But Paduka Seva is, I believe, its initial stages is not for everybody. It is only for a very mature Upasaka, and only when Bhairava gives a direction. Otherwise, you cannot have the Padukas and not do Seva of it. Then that is a disrespect.
Okay.
Okay. In my case, I didn't ask for the Padukas. It came on its own. Let me put it that way. I consider it to be a gift from an indication from Baba himself that I have to do seva to his Paduka. And it's the most beautiful thing. So you do seva to the Paduka, you keep the Padukas on your head, on the Brahmaranda. That is the highest, purest energy of your being. So that's like a surrenderance, complete and absolute surrenderance to you guide whatever you have to do. There's nothing I can do. Okay. That is the sense in which. But for general Upasakas, I feel that as you do Bhairav sadhana, as you go deeper, keeping a Trishul is a very good thing. Trishul also you have to do puja. As you do puja, it becomes more potent. You can carry the Trishul with you wherever you're going. If you're staying in a hotel somewhere, suppose for some work, you can just place it there. Place the Rudrakshmala, light one diya, that's it. It maintains your protection. It gives you a certain sense of strength, belongingness, and keeps negative things away from you. That's first object that comes in the Bhairav Upasana.
Okay.
There's another object, since for the sake of completion, let me just mention this. Eventually, you have to keep a Khappar also. Bhairava's Khappar. But this Khappar has its own dynamics. It is not so easy. Originally, Bhairava holds the Khappar of Brahma, which is another way of saying that he holds the Khappar of the whole creator of the universe. Brahma is the
That
creator.
is everybody's head.
Yes, he holds the creator's head in his hand. Okay. Brahman ka Khappar unke haath mein hai. And the Kapalikas actually keep a real Khappar. Grihasthas cannot do that, okay, because maintaining the Khappar is very difficult. So what is done is basically, and that again, mind you, this is not a thing to be done on stage day one. This only comes at a later stage. And the first rule of sadhana is do not be impatient. Don't just hear something and try and go and try that. No, then you are likely to make a mistake. So when the indication from nature comes that someone should keep a Khappar, arrangements will happen, and then you can keep a khappar made of coconut shells, or there are certain kind of sea shells in which khappar is made, and then khappar is to be energized, and then certain offerings are to be made in the khappar to Bhairava, and the khappar is like a annapurna patra. It's a wish fulfilling thing. When the khappar is completely energized, then whatever is given in the khappar manifests back into the upasaka's life in manifold ways.
So now everybody's going to run and get a khappar now.
It's not so easy to just have a khappar, and you have to energize the khappar through pujas specifically.
So do you do that very often?
I have multiple khappars. One for Bhairava, one for Matara. So each have their own.
Okay.
Of all things in life, the best thing I like is to stay at home and just do the puja to the deities. I don't need any miracles. I don't need nothing. I'm already seen enough of that, and I'm very happy with it. Whatever that sense of beauty and joy that comes in when I can sit in my asana and do my nitya puja, there's nothing anywhere that comes close to it. But then there are certain things that have to be done, so I have travel, whatever I have to travel. But yes, eventually these things for a Bhairava Upasaka, these will come to them. Remember this thing, it'll come to you.
Okay.
Okay, don't run after the khappar because you don't know how to energize the khappar.
No.
There's a process to it, how to maintain the khappar. Okay, like that there are things.
This is very intriguing.
It's not about, I've seen people buying from Amazon and keeping that. It's very good, just a object for show. उसमें कुछ power नहीं है. So like that, yes.
So I asked you this, would you want to, share some of your experiences on Kalbhairava Baba that you've had? Any story that you would like to share with us?
One incident, I think I've mentioned it once. I remember I was doing a homa in Kashi at night, and in the middle of it, right next to the Ganges, it was quite late in the night, and I felt a kind of a negative presence. Something was trying to pull me into the waters. It's as if it was pulling my, prana out of my body, and it was scary. And I was kind of trapped in between, like I was neither able to come back to my body fully, nor able to resist it completely. And the fire was going on. There was nobody around, and there's a friend nearby, but other than that, there's no other person around. And the water was right next to it. So water, if you see at night, changes its characters significantly. Any water body, large water body, the darkness and the water can have a certain ominous effect sometimes. Daytime, it's very different, water. I felt distinctly that it's as if something is ripping me out of my body, my prana, and pulling me into the water, something of that caliber, of that strength. And it was disturbing very strongly. I had to stop the homa and I didn't know what to do. And I was completely clueless. And because at that time, when you're clueless, you don't even remember much processes. So all I did was very fervently, I started praying to Kalbhairava for protection. And immediately within, I think, less than a minute, somewhere this black dog comes from somewhere, and it comes right away where I'm sitting, right next to the fire. Normally, you'll see that often, in general cases, animals tend to not go very close to a fire unless they're very accustomed. They will generally, and an average animal, especially if you go to a forest, you'll see you will light a fire, no wild animal is going to come near you.
No.
They're scared of the fire. Fire has that capacity. It distinguishes between the pashutvam, the animal tendencies, and the human tendencies. Fire is the thing that it brings civilization to the world. Okay. The moment somebody learns how to use fire, even a little girl, 10-year-old girl, or a 6 feet tall bodybuilder, they're of the same caliber. That one thing distinguishes everything else. That is the beauty of fire. It is the one thing that brings civilization into humanity. So pashus are like that. Anyway, coming back to the story, this dog comes in from somewhere and starts licking my ears. And the moment it does that, I'm back into my body. Okay. And completely safe. And then till the end of the homa, quietly sits down right next to the fire. No disturbance. I could do the homa peacefully. That was definitely his blessing. I mean, I have so many incidents. I've had these type of occurrences of in the Kalbhairava temple or surrounding or equated with Kalabhairava. I remember once, another time, I don't know, maybe that's too intense to speak about in a public forum.
No, sir, please tell us. It's coming to your mind, please say.
No, we'll skip that some other time maybe. So this one, this incident, and then there is, I had once taken a group of people for a hoba I remember that. And before, for
At Kashi?
Kashi Bhairava Homa, a few years ago. And before going to for the Homa, I had gone to Kalbhairava to pray. And the moment I was praying nearest Trishula, so whenever you go to Kalbhairava, do not forget to pray at the Trishula. That's very important.
From outside the
No,
temple?
once you enter into Trishul,
Ji.
there's a huge Trishula that's kept. You can see only unless you look up, you won't see.
You were.
You can see only the framework. So you should bow down to that framework mentally, touch it, and just do namaskara to it. Very important. So I had done that, and I said I need some help because I don't know how the Homa is going to turn out and things like that. And the moment we started the Homa, I remember, right after that, it started raining with large drops of water. It was a very auspicious sign, extremely auspicious sign. The dogs behaved in a certain fashion, which tells you the presence of Bhairava was there. And few people who had never ever done anything related to Bhairava, who had just come for the Homa, just come with me for that matter, who are not even from a Shaiva or Shakta background for that matter, somewhere from Vaishnava backgrounds. From that incident, that Homa, after that, by the time they went back home, they felt a profound spiritual transformation. So much that it kind of started their spiritual journey with the Upasana of Bhairava, and they have not left till date.
Sir, this is it. Kalbhairav Baba just puts everybody on the spiritual path कि घर बैठ के साधना करो. Like कुछ तो करो.
That he does, absolutely.
So would you want to tell us about the experience?
No, we'll
skip that.
We'll skip that. It's related to the cremation ground, maybe some other time.
Okay. Sir, why is Kalbhairav Baba's favorite city Kashi?
Because, as I mentioned, Kashi, so whole of India, the physical geography of India is linked to certain spiritual experiences and states. Okay. So very interestingly, this whole landmass, the subcontinent, the area, all the places, prominent places, are also like a geographical imprint of certain spiritual states that Upasaka experiences. So it's very interesting, which means basically Kashi, for example, is a state where the Kundalini Shakti goes into a particular domain and one experiences a tremendous sense of light, prakash. It's not light as in an external light. It's a sense of illumination, knowledge, wisdom. Automatically you see things and you understand things. That state is called Kashi.
Okay.
And Bhairava is the one who, that state is beyond the ordinary human state. That is not a normal materialistic state. That's a very spiritual state. And he is, so to shift oneself from our ordinary consciousness into that consciousness where you can experience Kashi, a jump is required. Okay, a shift is required completely. A normal mindset cannot understand this. It's like, it's a state that is beyond our imagination also. And the borderline between that spiritual condition and the material state, that is where Bhairava stands. He is the portal between the absolutely transcendentally beautiful spiritual and the dark material. He stands right at the center of these two, and he knows whom to pull from this side to that side and what to do. So without his permission, you cannot go. He loves Kashi because he is from Kashi. And when I say Kashi, I don't mean the physical city of Kashi. So this line.
Spiritual Kashi.
Yes, it's easy to go to Kashi, physical Kashi, but the spiritual Kashi is very difficult.
So how is it different?
It is vastly different.
Where do we find the spiritual Kashi?
That's how you have to do the sadhanas. And if I believe that if somebody does the upasana correctly, sadhanas, and is meant to reach Kashi, they reach the internal Kashi. And once the internal Kashi is reached, then you will see that there's a strange similarity between that imprint of that internal Kashi is also there in the external Kashi. External Kashi, you go, it's very beautiful. There's no doubt about it. It's wonderful. The energy of Shiva is so palpable. It's good to do sadhana there. But at one point, eventually, you have to realize that these things have a corresponding resonance inside the human being also. And it is very beautiful to reach there. Very beautiful. That, the doorway to that state is controlled by Bhairava. And that is why we have this thing in the Kashi. There's called the Bhairava danda. He has the danda and he's the dandapani, one who holds the danda. The
Some
rod
people
of justice.
say that he's the cousin of Kalbhairava.
So either way, it's Tattva is Bhairava, fundamentally.
And so the Panditjis,
Yeah.
do the thak on the back that dand mil gaya.
Basically, it's a representation of the fact that, so when to enter into that state of Kashi, you have to be very spiritual. Spirituality तो ऐसे आता नहीं है लोगों में until nature gives some person. So the whole history of humanity and great spiritual upasakas, you'll see, starts off somewhere with some degree of pain. If everything was very good, you'll never enter into spiritual. Nobody does. It's human nature. We take things for granted. That pain, what Bhairava does is that he accumulates the karma. Suppose somebody is supposed to experience a karma for 10, 15, 20 lifetimes. He can concentrate all of that in a blink of an eye. It's very painful. It's more painful than the pain that Yama can give you. Yama is the lord of death. But once you pass through it, you are cleansed, Shuddha, Pavitra, and then you can enter Kashi.
Sir, if I may ask, what pains did you have that you...
Everybody has. It's not something that anybody has more or less. See, the moment you're born, take it for granted that someday or the other you'll face disappointments, disease, various things. It's all right. The whole beauty of Bhairava Upasana. See, there are many protective deities. There are many protective deities in Dharma. Narasimha is a protective deity. Hanumanji is a protective deity. The difference with Bhairava is that he protects not by removing the problems. He protects by making you immune to them.
Okay. Facing
them. Be very steady in reality. Once you become steady with reality, steady with truth, then it gives you a peculiar power to be able to digest anything, to remain unshaken.
This is true, sir.
That is the beauty of
the
Bhairava.
power goes up, takes time. It's a lot of hard work, lot of tears, but nothing comes easy. There's no free lunch.
Right.
Thinking of food, you've organized a lot of annadans throughout the Ashtamis and, a lot of other tithis. Has that significantly added to, the organization's karma? Because, here you are scouting for land for the 8 Bhairava temples.
Right.
If I may ask, and people have been eager to know if they can help in, what is the next step now?
So the 8 temples are going to be a reality. That much I'm pretty sure of. People are always welcome to help in any way they can, if it's if it's within their capacity and they feel an inspiration to do so. They can help in monetary ways, of course.
Yes, of course.
They can help in terms of resources and skills that we need. So right now I'm in the process. Last 6 months I've been traveling to various parts of India, from South India to Gujarat to other places, and even Tarapit, for scouting of specific lands that I need for temples and other things. Also speaking to architects and others. So if there is anybody, in general, if anybody thinks that he or she has this skill set where they can be of use to us, they can always in this project, and they also mentally connect to it. It's very important that you have a mental connection to what this is being done. It's not just a random thing.
No. Okay.
They can always drop in an email at the official web page that I have. We have a dedicated page of the Kamakya Upasaka Foundation, and in there's a section entirely dedicated to the Bhairava temple projects and all that. Over time, as I get more clarity on so right now me and 1-2 other people of my team, we are working with the architects to have the plan and the layouts of the temples ready. So I hope once they're ready, I can share something with the people so that they can also see what I have conceived in mind of how the temples will be. So hopefully that this year at least one construction of a temple has to start off.
So my question was that, is it the annadans that have helped? I can't frame it correctly, but, once you had mentioned that, annadan helps in removing a lot of negatives, vices, karmic loads. So is this the way to move forward, to clear paths so that the temples can be done, protect Desh, Dharma?
Yes. In fact, the Annadanam is a very powerful tool, specifically for people who are connected to the Kamakya Upasaka Foundation, either, connected in the sense not just directly helping me out in this, but also people who are part of the Telegram group and do the Vishesh
Sadhanas.
Yes. So basically, those people, if they participate in the Annadanam, one way or the other, it helps to remove any kind of doshas or mistakes that might have happened knowingly or unknowingly in the process of their sadhana. And it gives a lot of blessings to the people. It helps to generate a lot of positive karmas that will also get added in terms of, help us in building this temple. So that is why I insist that every month. So last December onwards, we started doing regular Annadanam at various cities across India.
Ji, ji. Even
And
in Nepal,
yes, and other places, and
other
we keep.
Abhishek, Rudrabhishek in Nepal.
Yes, no. So we do pujas to different deities
Ji,
every month,
ji.
and that includes a whole host of deities. Some in Nepal, few temples in Nepal, temples in Kashi, temples Mahakaleshwar temple, Kamakhya temple, Tarapet temple. Then there's a Konkalitala temple. Then in south we have Guruvayur temple. Then we have Palani Murugan. We have few other temples as well. So there's a whole list of temples. Even Sankat Mochan, there are certain pujas that happen there. So Kashi Vishwanath, many temples.
Ji.
So we do a whole collection of temples every month where Vishesh pujas are done for the purpose of awakening of Dharma. And these processes take time. It is not a one-day thing. Anything great and powerful always needs time. It's not a 2 minutes
Yeah,
thing.
naturally.
Yeah, few years of
2
this thing
minutes में
has to
sir
be-
noodle भी नहीं बनता है.
so so that way we hope that eventually this brings out the right kind of environment and the energy in this country, so that it helps in making the Bhairava temples and it helps in protection of Dharma. Annadanam is also a part of this process. So we do two types of Annadanams. One is we do Annadanam to Veda Pathshalas across India. It's Kashi, some in Kashi, some in
Ji,
Delhi,
ji, ji.
some in South, etc. Every month Veda Pathshalas are done. Apart from that, we also do general Annadanam to the poor, to places that is done across India, like in Calcutta it's done, in Tarapet it's done, then in Hyderabad, Bangalore,
Yes, Calcutta.
Delhi.
I have seen the banner at Kalighat.
Yes. So different places, our volunteers every month they keep doing Annadanam, and I think it's a fantastic thing to do Annadanam along with seva of the deities. This process, if carried on for a few years, automatically causes an imprint. It changes the karma of the place, the people, the nation, etc., and helps us in the larger goal of dharma rakshana.
So this is enormous.
Yeah, I hope that it spreads even wider. So let's see.
So, without doing anything organically, I mean, there are so many lakhs of japas from the Telegram group. We used to keep seeing earlier when you were on social media,
Right.
we would keep seeing the updates. Now that you're not on social media, are you more blissfully happy? And
Yeah, I am blissfully happy because social media takes up.
So the only way to connect with you is either log into the KBUF page.
Yeah.
Or in the comment section of your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so there's a team who monitors the comments, and if there are a lot of repetitive questions regarding some specific aspect, then as and when time permits, and I hope that we are able to continue these recordings in future, so that we can address those questions in the form of videos as and when I get time from my travels. But connecting with me, the easier option is to drop a mail in the website, because I'm not in social media anymore. That gives me a lot of time to do the things that are really important, like getting the Bhairava temples in place and
giving me studio time.
Yeah, perhaps that too. So this is the easier way. I thought in general also, I thought that the best way to connect to people is anyway to have videos, and apart from that, the other social media is not useful for me. It's completely a waste of time, and I don't need that. I can reach the same number of people or more people by addressing the spiritual topics in a video. That's it.
Yes, because people still have small doubts, which I think if they join the Telegram group, maybe you can ask somebody to give the link of the Telegram group after this video is uploaded. So have I missed out anything on Kalbhairav Baba? In case you'd like to add something, I've always asked you this.
At this point, though, this is good enough. I think, of course, Bhairava is infinite, and we can keep speaking. If as they say, if we had 10 heads like Ravana, and if you keep speaking with all your heads for 10 years, even then you can't complete the glories of Bhairava. But Kalbhairava is a fantastic deity to worship and brings a tremendous strength and steadiness in the Upasaka. Adhara, the mind and the body becomes acceptant of the reality as it is, and that is the first step to any true spiritual development.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. We're going to take a short break and move
Right.
on to the next video so that, I don't know when I'll find you next.
Sure.
So
All
we'll
right.
just cut a couple of more videos and
All right.
thank you, sir. Joy
Thank you.
Matara.
Jai Matara.
Jai
Jai
Bhairav
Bhairava
Baba.
Baba.
Jai
Jai
Ma
Ma Kamakya.
Kamakhya. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.